Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, from wherever around the world you are. Welcome to the 6th webinar of the IJOC this year. But before starting, my apologies on behalf of our president, Glenn Myers, who had to attend the last-minute matter. Therefore, he will not be able to join us for the beginning of the session. I'd like to welcome you all to this webinar. And as you know, today our topic is the FEI IT applications. And as you know, on the daily basis, we do use more and more the IT infrastructure of the FEI in our officiating duties. And therefore, we thought it might be an important item that we go in depth about what kind of IT applications there are. And if we are using or utilizing all of them, that's another question. But we thought that would be a wonderful chance that Victoria Reedborn is with us so that she could give us all in-depth review of what the platforms are and what else we could benefit for. Therefore, Victoria, I also would like to welcome you. For those who know you already, what she is doing already, but for those who don't know her, she is the FEI IT Head of Services and Support Department. Victoria, many thanks for accepting to be our speaker today. Before we go ahead, I just want to give a couple of housekeeping notes for all our members. One, we are already live on Facebook so that our members who are not able to join here, they can also follow it on our closed group of the Facebook. Second, we will try to upload this once the recording is over. We will try to upload this recording to our website so that members can also attend and see. And finally, also thanks to our technical support from our board member, Theodor Shaitanov, who is helping us with the organization of this IT structure. So, Victoria, I think the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your introduction. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Victoria Reedborn. I am the Head of Service and Support in the Technology and Sports Services Department. And the idea today is to go over the different IT applications we have available. Some I'm sure you use on a regular basis, perhaps some you are not aware of. And then, of course, at the end, there'll be the possibility to have some questions and answers if there is anything that comes up during the presentation on which you might want to ask something. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen. So I'll just turn off my camera for the time being, and then I will turn it back on afterwards, and I will just share my screen. So give me 1 second. Okay. So you should all be able to see my presentation now. So I will start, and we're going to go over a few different items. So first of all, we are going to go over the IT services and IT platforms we have available, some general information and your personal profile, entries and the FEI Sport Manager app, FEI Forms, which I'm sure you're all aware of, FEI Rule app, FEI Campus, FEI Horse app, and then the Q&A at the end. It sounds a lot, but don't worry, I won't keep you all evening.
Victoria,
so, yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but before you go ahead, from time to time, I might need to intervene as we do receive some questions. If they're related directly with the item, I will try to intervene and ask the question from our members. Otherwise, we will try to do it at the end, if that's okay for you.
That's absolutely fine, and it makes perfect sense to do it as we cover the points, so not a problem.
Thank you.
So first of all, to just give a general introduction on what the Technology and Sports Services Department does, we use cutting-edge technology to cater to the needs and the wishes of a very broad audience from all our key stakeholders and to equestrian enthusiasts all over the world. So this covers you as officials, but also athletes, grooms, owners, national federations, organizing committees, and of course, fans of equestrian sport. So we maintain and improve the FEI information database. We devise and develop new IT applications, platforms, and solutions. We maintain and improve the various existing IT platforms. We manage all the data and information related to FEI equestrian sport. And we, of course, provide support to all our stakeholders and users that use our IT platforms. There are 14 of us within the Technology and Sports Services Department, from the support team, the service team, but also developers and in-house business analysts and IT engineers. So to go over just a few of our various IT platforms, more on just an overview, and then we will go into some in more specific detail. Everything is, of course, linked to the FEI database. So all the data that you see on various IT platforms, all is centralized in our main FEI database. So we, of course, have the main FEI.org website, which is what we would refer to as our fan website. So where there's lots of interesting articles and news outlets and photos, and it's very much aimed at our equestrian fans. We have inside.fei.org, which I'm sure you all know, but we will go over a little bit later, and the database. And then we have the various other IT platforms. I have marked some of them down here, which are mainly specific to you as FEI officials. And we will go over some of them. Some of them you might never have heard of. Hopefully you've heard of some of them, but we will go over them in a bit of information. But for example, we have, the Clean Sport, which is something available in an app and a website where you can see the different anti-doping situations and regulations. We have also, for example, FEI TV, where you can watch live videos and live streaming of our events. We have the Sport app, we have FEI Campus. So there are a lot of different platforms available, and all of these platforms are linked to our main FEI database. So some of the IT services that we offer for all stakeholders, as just mentioned, we have FEI TV, so FEI events, live streaming, video content, and this is of course available to everybody who takes out a subscription, and it's for fans and our stakeholders. We have something called How To, which I will touch on a little bit later, but this is like an online guideline and tutorials platform where you can find a lot of information, and this is available to all our stakeholders as well. Inside.fei.org, which we will look into, but this is very much our institutional website where you as officials can find lots of forms, documents, and information that you might need. We then, of course, have some specific services for specific stakeholders. For example, the database, there is a lot of public information on the database, but there is also a lot of personal information on the database. And you therefore have to have your FEI credentials to be able to log in and view this information. We have also our results and rankings and different standings, which are all publicly available on the FEI database. The FEI entry system is a platform where all the entries for our main disciplines are available, as well as start lists and statistics. And of course, we have various mobile applications available to stakeholders. Some sections are of course available publicly, and some are again password protected. And for officials, we have some very specific services, which are FEI forms, where you have all of your reporting and feedback. We have, of course, all of your courses and exams and promotions and qualifications. And we have the Rule app, which has been designed very much for you as officials to use on the go. So to go in a little bit more in detail, we will first just talk about general information and your personal profile. So first of all, inside.fei.org. I'm sure you have all used this platform and you all know where to find it, but I thought what I would do is just give a quick demonstration on it. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, and I am going to share my web page. And I'm just going to show you a little bit here on inside.fei.org. So inside.fei.org is our institutional website, and a lot of it is publicly available, and you can also log in, but all the information that you need as an official can be found here under your role. So as an official, you would go onto the your role section, and you will find all the information you would need as an official, from documents to forms to, for example, here, COVID recommendations, information about CES, the list of FEI officials that is published on a regular basis. And as jumping officials, you have your specific section here for jumping officials, where again, you have very much specific information on your education system, on your education calendar, forms and reports that you as jumping officials would need. So this is very much specific to you as jumping officials. And of course, you can navigate between the different disciplines or the veterinary section, for example. But the inside.fei.org contains as well a lot of other information about the FEI, including our values, the governance, our structure, as well as links to a lot of all our other FEI platforms. So this is very much a page that you can use to navigate to the other FEI IT applications and database by using inside.fei.org is like your portal to some of the other FEI IT platforms that are available. For example, we have Campus here, or for example, FEI rules, where you can see all the different rules and regulations. And again, here, for example, the jumping rules and regulations. And again, up here, we have links to the database, to fei.org, as well as all our social media. So this is very much your portal to be able to access all the information that the FEI provides to you as officials. And there is a lot of information. There is a lot of specific to jumping, but of course there is a lot of other information that is very interesting and that can be reviewed by everyone. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint presentation. Bear with me 1 second. And in terms of personal information, we have the FEI database. I'm sure you have all used this to see results and rankings and perhaps your personal profile as well. You can see your personal contact information, but of course, this is very much restricted to you. You can also see your official functions, your start and end dates of your official functions. You can see your maintenance status. You can see your assignments, past and present, and you can see your courses and the status of your courses. So all of this is available on your personal profile of the FEI database. So if you go to data.fei.org and log in with your FEI ID number and password, you can see all of this information about yourself. And this is also the place where, I know this sometimes happens, where you might need to reset your password, or if you've forgotten your password to log in, you can go to data.fei.org and you can reset your password via the FEI database. So you find a lot of information about yourself. This screenshot is a little mock-up, so it's not correct information, but a lot of the information about yourself is available on the FEI database. And of course, it's available to us within the FEI to be able to consult. It's available to your national federations, but it's not publicly available. Moving on to entries. Entries is something that as jumping officials, you will refer to on a regular basis. And we have something that's called the FEI entry system, which I'm sure you have all used. And this is the modern version of the FEI entry system with a lot of data and information available. You can access this on a web page by going to entry.fei.org. You would log in with your FEI ID number and password, and you will then see all the events to which you are assigned. Again, this is a mock-up, but here we have an official that is assigned to 4 upcoming events. And we can see different information about the event, how many athletes and horses are accepted, for example, and you can navigate between the different events to view the entries. So for example, I'm going to choose to view the entries of one specific event, let's say here the 2-star, and you can see you have the status of different entries. So you can see the green marks the entry as accepted. And you can also see, for example, here, the little logo IS. This means that this entry was accepted via the FEI invitation system. So this athlete received a place at this event due to their position in the Longines rankings. You can also see the quotas. You can see the athlete names and IDs, the horse names and IDs. Pardon me. And you can also see, for example, these entries that are in orange. These are what we would call pending or waiting entries. So these are entries that have been made by the National Federation, but that have not yet been accepted by the organizing committee. You can also see something that's called horse slot. I'm sure you maybe have come across this in the past. So this is the possibility where a national federation can make an entry for an athlete, but have not yet or do not know yet which horse the athlete is bringing with them. So they can make an entry to guarantee a place, but they can then fill in the horse slot with the name and the FEI ID of the horse at a later date. So this gives the opportunity for national federations to make the entries in time, which is something which is also important for organizing committees to know the number of athletes and horses that will be attending the event, but the actual name of the horse or the ID of the horse would come at a little bit of a later stage. On the FEI entry system, you will also be able to see if, for example, a horse's passport status is not up to date. There will be a little flag next to the horse's name, a little triangle, which would indicate that the passport status is not up to date. Perhaps it needs to be revalidated, or perhaps we are missing some documents. This is perhaps more appropriate for vets, but it's also something very informative for you as officials. You can also see if an athlete is suspended or a horse is suspended. Perhaps an athlete or a horse, an entry was made for them and they have become suspended since. They will then be withdrawn, but there will be a little red sort of stop sign next to their name to indicate that they are suspended. And you will also be able to see in certain events, we have something called small or medium tours, or big tours, or gold tours, or silver tours, things like this. We also can indicate this on the entry system. So for you as officials, if certain athletes are competing in the big tour or the small tour, and this has been indicated by the National Federation, this will also appear on the FEI entry system. Something else on the FEI entry system, which I know is very useful and important for you as officials, are the possibility to download lists, master lists in all different formats, as well as different checks to perform. So for example, here I've highlighted in green the horse details and checks. These are lists that you can download from the FEI entry system directly in PDF or in Excel, which will provide you the details of the horses, their age, their sex, their pedigree, for example, but also horses to check. For example, if you are running a young horses class or a class where it's limited to 5-year-olds or 7-year-olds, this list can provide you the information of the age of the horse at the time of the event, which can be very useful for you to use if you have to apply this control of age, for example, of horses in certain competitions. Of course, we know at many events we have the IT providers or the IT services, the organizing committee have IT providers on site that manage this, but this is also something that you as officials might need to control and check, and these lists are made available for you via the FEI entry system.
Victoria?
Yes.
If I can.
Yes, of course.
I think there are 2 points that maybe we need to highlight or just to share once again, because it's really helpful for the officials. Mm-hmm. One of them is the website address directly, that is the entry.fei.org, because yes, when especially the foreign judge or the president of the jury, they're appointed to a show, mm-hmm, they do receive the email from the FEI, as you know, for the entry system details. Yes. Some of our officials, sometimes we need to go back and try to search for that email in order to enter the entry system. But it's good to remind once again that we can actually log in directly through the address and just log in our credentials, and we are at the same place. So exactly, we have all the information. So, the second item. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. Entry.fei.org.
And when you log in on this, you will be automatically taken to what we call your dashboard, for example, and you can see all the events to which you are assigned. So you do not need the email that we send you. If, like you say, you have filed it or deleted it or can't find it, you can access the web page directly.
Exactly. And the second useful item you said was about the master list and the horse detail. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because again, for example, before a veterinarian inspection, sometimes the organizer or the people on the ground may not have readily a list for the vet check or the master list. So once you print this out or have it with you in your iPad, etc., it's already one step ahead and very helpful.
Exactly. And I'll show you on the next stage, it's also available on mobile application. So this is very much the web page version. And like you say, you can have the horse detail list, but you can also have the master list. So master list in the PDF version is what we would call the pretty version, with the flags and the names of the athletes and the horses. And then you have master list CSV, which is an Excel version, where you have more information, and sometimes it's easier to work with an Excel if you're preparing it on your computer prior to the event. And we also have this under 18 athletes list, again, similar to horses to check. If, for example, you have competitions that are limited in age, and sometimes you have competitions that are CSI, young, junior, under 25, or just young, or just junior, or just under 25, and sometimes it's a bit mixed. You can just have this list that just highlights to you which athletes are under 18 years old if there are checks to perform.
Yes, thank you. And meanwhile, we just received a question that is directly linked with the master list. So I will ask this. I'm happy that it's becoming interactive, by the way.
That's great, yes.
We have a question from Ralph Clayson Hofman. And the question is, does the master list come with microchip numbers?
The horse details one comes with microchip numbers. The master list comes just with the master list PDF is the name of the athlete, the name of the horse, the FEI ID numbers. The master list CSV comes with all the information. So it depends if you're wanting to use the PDF or if you're wanting to use an Excel spreadsheet. If you go with the Excel spreadsheet version, so the horse details or the master list CSV, you do have all the information, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and you also on this page have the possibility to contact, this is a very little, the host NF, for example, if you have any questions. So this was on what we call entry.fei.org, so that is on a web page. So moving on to mobile applications, which provides the same information, but what we would say on the go. We have the FEI Sport app, and we have the FEI Sport Manager app. Now, I'm not sure if you are aware of both of these, but the FEI Sport app is the original app, and it is for all disciplines. The FEI Sport Manager app is specific to jumping. It was something that was developed when we introduced the FEI invitation system. So it is the mobile application that jumping athletes use to manage their wish lists, their choices, and their invitations. But it is also available for jumping officials and jumping organizing committees. So you can still use the Sport app, and you can see the entries for your upcoming event, and you can see your past and present assignments. That's absolutely fine on the Sport app. But the Sport Manager app is a bit more, let's say, a modern version with a little bit more information, and it's very much specific to jumping. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to speak specifically about the Sport Manager app, bearing in mind that if you have the Sport app, that's absolutely fine, and you can find the basic information on here, but the Sport Manager app is very much more specific to jumping. So if I go into the FEI Sport Manager app, it's very much what we just saw on the web version, but in a mobile application version. So you can see all the statistics of the event. So the invited nations, how many athletes are participating, how many athletes are entered. And you can also download the documents. So at the bottom, you can see download documents, and you have exactly the same opportunities as what you downloaded on the web page. So you have the master lists, the horse details to check, the under 18 athletes, and you again can download them in PDF or CSV directly onto your device or send them to yourself by email. And again, here you can see the different status of the entries. So the entries are accepted when they have the little green logo. You can see, for example, for the first athlete, Bologna, he has the Bernini horse with a substitution request. So you can see that there is a substitution pending for this horse that the organizing committee need to accept. You can see some basic information about the horse, their date of birth, their gender, etc. And this is all available on the FEI Sport Manager app. So this is exactly what you saw on the web page, but on the app. And in complement to this, on the Sport Manager app, you can see your assignments, past and present. So here I've used the same example as what we saw on the web page. Here you can see the assignments for Valence and Saint-Tropez. And then you can also toggle to see your past events and your past assignments. So very much like you can on the FEI Sport app, which I'm sure an app is the app you have maybe used up until now. So it's very much the same, but with a little bit more of a modern look and a little bit more information, because on the events and entries section, you have all the notions of the invitation system, if the athlete has been invited by the invitation system, or if it's an unlimited event. And you have, for example, if there's an invited nation, the numbers of athletes entered and accepted. So there is a little bit more jumping specific information on the FEI Sport Manager app than there is on the FEI Sport app. Okay. So I will move on if there are no questions about the Sport Manager app, and then we can come back to it at the end. And I hope you will, if you have not yet downloaded it on your phones, that you will all do so following this presentation.
So far, we're going well.
Okay.
Just one thing, Victoria, a very fresh question from Anna Karin Tiden. Very often, when at the horse inspection, there are substitutions or other changes from your list. The FEI entry system updates quicker than either the FEI Sport Manager app or the FEI Sport app. Is there anything else I can do to update quickly or quicker, is the question.
Okay, so interesting. In theory, if it's updated on the FEI entry system, so on the actual FEI entry system webpage, then it would update on the app. You might just need to pull to refresh, or I log out, log in, but I wouldn't say so. I'd say more a pull to refresh. However, what I'm maybe thinking is that the substitutions and changes that are happening on site are actually happening in the IT system that the organizing committee are using. So the IT providers platform, not the FEI entry system. Because obviously we know at events, last minute substitutions or horse changes happen, and these would be communicated directly to the OC IT provider on site, who would change it on their start list, on the big screen, etc., directly on site, rather than in the FEI entry system. Because for a change to happen in the FEI entry system, it's the National Federation that has to process this change. And obviously we know sometimes on the weekends they are not available, or if it's early in the morning or late in the evening. So my only thought is if it's not updating directly on the FEI Sport Manager app, it's maybe because the change has not actually been made in the FEI entry system. Please correct me if that's not the case, and if there is an issue, then I will definitely look into it. But that's the only thought I can have. Otherwise, in theory, it should be live or simultaneous updates.
By the way, she just said that it is in the FEI entry system. It is probably a matter of refreshing the app. Thank you, Victoria.
Okay, perfect, great.
All right. Meanwhile, we do have a live question request. So let me try to get to Gabriella, because she raised her hand.
Okay.
But in the meantime, she also texted and said, could it be possible for the FEI to let us know if an event has been cancelled as soon as the FEI knows through the sport app, is the question.
Okay, that's a good question. Via the sport app, I'm not sure, because we do not have necessarily push notifications, maybe via an email process. However, we are looking to put into place push notifications on the FEI Sport Manager app. So that could indeed be something that we could look to add to inform all the officials when a show is cancelled. So all the officials that were assigned to that event when our event is cancelled. That's very good feedback. So I will note that down. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you also to Gabriella for bringing up the question. And another question, which is now related with what you were talking about as the horse app, Victoria, is coming from Orla Griffin, our member. She says, how do athletes enter non-competing horses on the FEI horse app?
On the FEI horse app. Okay, so we will come on to the FEI horse app a little bit later. But the FEI horse app, any FEI horse can be entered on the FEI horse app, competing or not competing. So any horse that enters an FEI stable has to have an FEI ID number, and therefore it's possible to add this horse on the FEI horse app and to update all the information necessary in regards to the horse health requirements for this horse on the horse app. But we can maybe touch on this when we go to the horse app section. I'll just write a little note down and then we can touch on this. In terms of non-competing horses in the FEI entry system, that's a little bit different because obviously they're not being entered in the event as such. So these are what we would call transit horses. And this is obviously something that is managed directly with the organizing committee. If they allow transit horses and non-competing horses to be present on site, then separate stables are booked for these horses directly with the organizing committee, and no entry is made because they are not competing at the event. But it is possible to add these horses to the horse app in regards to the horse health requirements. Okay, I'll move on and we can touch on the non-competing horses when we get to the horse app section. So FEI forms. I'm sure you have all used FEI forms at some point in time. So FEI forms is our online reporting platform and can again be accessed by going to forms.fei.org. So again, you always receive a notification if you have to fill in a form, but if you can't find this notification, then you can go directly to forms.fei.org, and in your form list, you will have the forms that you need to fill in. So on FEI forms, we have veterinary reports. They were the first reports that were added back in 2014. We have person injury reports or athlete injury reports. We have jumping chief steward reports. We have jumping foreign judge reports. And we have jumping course designer reports in relation to the event classification system. So actually for jumping, most of your reports are online and it's quite complete. So I know other disciplines are very jealous, but you have most of your reports online via this forms platform, which is a very intuitive and easy to use platform where the form guides you to fill in the information that you need to fill in. And you can upload in certain cases, for example, in the chief steward report or the foreign judge report, you can upload extra images or PDFs, for example, if you need to provide some further information. One report that will probably be added that is of interest in jumping will be the foreign rider report for non-ECS and ECS events in due course. But otherwise for jumping, most of your reports are online. And I'm sure most of you have used the platform in the past. So if there are no questions on FEI forms, I will move on, but I will give you a minute to see if anyone has any specific questions on FEI forms.
Meanwhile, Victoria, maybe I can also add to say that we're very happy to hear about the foreign rider report becoming online.
Yes.
Because as you know, sometimes it could be a hassle to chase after the riders to get the forms filled, etc. So I think it's a really good step forward. Another thing is as IJOC, we will soon be providing also certain details on how to develop further the foreign judge reports and the foreign steward reports, etc. We will try to provide our feedback to the FEI if or in future it could even be developed further.
Yeah, and we are very welcome to accept any feedback and to hear your feedback. Of course, you are the ones that are using the reports and filling in the reports. So any feedback we can get from you is much appreciated. Thank
you. And we have two questions.
Perfect.
One of them, from Matthias Löchner. The question is, how do I find the schedule in the Sport Manager app?
Okay, so we've gone back to Sport Manager app. How do you find the schedule in the Sport Manager app? Okay, you can't is I think the answer to that one. So effectively the schedule is in the FEI Sport app under the calendar. In the FEI Sport Manager app, it's very much specific to the entries and the details of the entries and invitations and athletes and horse information. The schedule is available in the FEI Sport app under the calendar section. However, that is a good point, and that could be actually something that we could look to integrate into the Sport Manager app, so that you don't have to toggle between the two apps. So I am going to note this down, and that links to, I might as well say it now, that we are in the process of developing the online schedule for jumping. We actually have the online schedule for eventing in operation already, and we are now developing the online schedule for jumping. For you as officials, it doesn't change much, but for national federations and organizing committees to be able to fill in the schedule online on an online form, a little bit like FEI forms, rather than this PDF or paper version. And then whenever any updates need to be made, it's automatically made in the online version, and it's automatically pushed to our system. For example, if an official changes or the date of a competition needs to change, for example, then this is automatically synchronized between the online schedule and the FEI database and the FEI calendar. But I will write this down. Yes, perfect.
Thank you, Victoria. By the way, we're becoming more and more interactive, and I'm trying to manage the relevant ones so that you don't have to go back and forth.
Not a problem.
In the topics. But another question from Diana Faccini is, will the foreign steward report be online in future?
I will say yes, but I cannot give you a timeline for this. As you can see, where the jumping reports are very complete, so we have to be a little bit fair to our other disciplines. So we are working at the moment on the Chief Steward report for all disciplines online. That is the next report that will be available for all disciplines, and then we will slowly but surely. The idea, of course, is to add all the reports to the FEI Forms platform over time and in due course.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will move on to the FEI Rule app. I'm sure most of you have the FEI Rule app, and you might have noticed that it has gone through a revamp lately. So it's got all the new logos, and it's also the search feature has been updated. So the Rule app contains all the FEI rules and regulations. So for all disciplines, as well as the general regulations, all the anti-doping information, as well as the steward manuals, everything is available on the Rule app. For us, it's something that we always say it's the rules on the go or the rules in your pocket. It's something that you can always refer to whenever you might need it at an event. And the powerful function that it has is that it works offline. So once you have downloaded the rule, the discipline or the regulation once, then it is always available on your smartphone or on your device, unless of course you change device and you have to download it again. But otherwise it's always available, and it has a very powerful search function. So you can use the little search magnifying glass, and you can type in a simple word, for example, boots or invitation, and it will pull out all of the rules that have that word in it. And of course, you can be as specific as you want or as vague as you want, and it will list all the rules that have that word in it. And from experience, I know that this is very useful when at an event and you need to pull up a rule and you can't remember exactly which article it is. You can search for it and you can find it very easily. And the offline function, we know that certain disciplines, maybe not as much jumping, but other disciplines don't necessarily have an active internet or Wi-Fi connection. So to have downloaded this to your Rule app prior to going to the event, it is then available during the event without needing an internet connection. So this is the Rule app. And I'm sure most of you have used this or already have this. So if you have any questions, then please let me know. Otherwise, I will move on. Our next subject is FEI Campus. I'm now going to just change my screen. I'm sure you have all been on FEI Campus, but I will just go to my web page. Give me 1 second. FEI Campus is our online educational platform with a lot of information and more information being added on a daily basis. We have courses available for the general public. We have courses available in different languages, and we have courses available specific for officials. For example, here we have all the FEI jumping courses, and you can here you can view the rule changes, for example, and here you can sign up for different courses. If, for example, you have been given access to take your level 4 jumping judge exam, you will have this access available on your profile when you log in. Something that's very important to note is that when you log into FEI Campus up here, you should always log in with your FEI ID. It is possible to have a campus account with an email address because the profile is available to public people. However, as FEI officials and FEI jumping officials, you should always log in with your FEI ID number, because this will make sure that you are brought to your page with all of your courses that you might need to take or courses that you have taken, and the status of your courses. That way it's all linked to your FEI ID number and linked to your profile on the FEI database that I spoke about earlier. So if, for example, you take a course on FEI Campus that is required and you pass, this will automatically update your status, your function on the FEI database. There is a lot of information on FEI Campus, education, information, interesting things. I'm sure you have all been on this platform, but there is always new things being added. So don't ever hesitate to go back to it and have a look at the different courses that are added on a regular basis.
Victoria?
Yes.
There is a question about the courses here at this point. Whether the judge level 1 course is updated or not.
Now you throw me a difficult question. I know that they were in the process of updating it while I was in Herning. So I cannot guarantee that it is complete because it's not me that does this. However, what I will do is I will find out if it's updated, and then I can drop you an email and you can always pass this information back to the person that has asked you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Okay, I will go back to my PowerPoint presentation. So that was FEI Campus. And if there are no further questions on that, I'm going to move on to the FEI Horse app, which is obviously the application that a lot of people are talking about at the moment. And I'm sure there will be some questions regarding this. So the FEI Horse app has been in place actually for quite some time. But following the EHV1 outbreak in March last year, the FEI Horse app was developed further to integrate what we now refer to as the horse health requirements. So the FEI Horse app is available to FEI veterinarians, athletes and grooms, FEI officials, and organizing committees to be able to apply the relevant regulations of the veterinary regulations and the horse health requirements that are now necessary when competing and being at an FEI event. So what you can see on this screenshot is you can see horse temperatures. As I'm sure most of you know, it is now required to submit 3 days of pre-arrival temperatures via the FEI Horse app. So this means that the PR, so this can be the athlete, the groom, the family member, someone related to the horse, has to enter 3 days of temperature recordings in the FEI Horse app prior to arrival at an FEI event. They also have to fill in a self-certification form. This is a form where they declare the health status of their horse and that their horse has not been in contact with any other horse in quarantine or under investigation for EHV1. And then via the FEI Horse app, on arrival, the FEI veterinarians perform the examination on arrival and submit this in the FEI Horse app. And this then helps manage the horse movement. By the vet examining the horse on arrival and submitting this examination on arrival in the FEI Horse app, we have logged the GPS coordinates of this horse in the FEI Horse app. So this is basically adding a trace of the horse. And then at the end of the event, the organizing committee checks the horse out. So basically informs us that the horse has now left the event. And by doing this, we have added 2 elements to our horse traceability. And we can say that this horse was at this event from Friday the 19th until Tuesday the 23rd of August, for example. And we have that logged in our system. So the FEI Horse app has now been available for vets since April 2021. And since the 1st of August 2021, PRs in Europe, in mainland Europe, have had to use the FEI Horse app to enter the temperatures and the self-certification form. And since the 1st of January 2022, it is obligatory worldwide for all horses competing at all FEI events to have their information entered in the FEI Horse app prior to arrival at the event. Whilst they're at the event, they have to carry on entering the daily temperatures of the horses. So this is the athletes and the grooms that have to enter this information in the FEI Horse app. And for you as officials, what we provide for you is the possibility to check the temperatures entered for these horses that are at the event. So this might be something that is attributed to a steward. It could be only the veterinarians. This is up to the officiating team on site, but the information is provided and available to you as officials via the FEI Horse app to see the temperatures entered for the horses. So when you are logged in on the FEI Horse app, if you are assigned to an FEI event, it will show up in the temperature check section. And you will be able to select the event. Here I've taken Valence as an example. And we can see that there are 133 horses that were examined on arrival. So these are the number of horses that are at the venue. And for example, you can see on Monday that 82 horses recorded their AM temperature and 75 horses recorded their PM temperature. And you can see how many are missing their temperatures. These numbers are just fictitious, just to let you know. But you can then go in. So for example, I've clicked on Monday and you can go in and you can see all of the horses, their AM and their PM temperatures. And you can see if we look down at Caipirinha, for example, they didn't enter their PM temperature on the 22nd of August. Now, this is no necessarily alarm bells do not need to ring. They have the possibility to enter temperatures in the past, so they can enter 3 days in the past. So today we are the 23rd. They can still enter yesterday's PM temperature today. That's not a problem. But this is just to provide you with the information. And if, for example, you see a horse that is not entering their information at all, or for example, high. So this is when someone enters a temperature that is 38.5 or higher. So it's 101.3 Fahrenheit or higher. It will be highlighted as high and in red. And that is then maybe something that you would want to bring to the attention of a veterinarian on site, or perhaps you would like to walk past the stable and see what might be going on. So we provide this information to you via the FEI Horse app. And you can also see the little eye logo and the little cloud logo at the top. So the eye logo is just a friendly version where you can see the list of horses on your phone. And the little cloud logo allows you to download lists in PDF or CSV and send them to yourself by email. Perhaps at the end of the day, you want to have a list of all the horses that entered their temperatures, or you just want to have a list of all the horses that are on site. We provide the information that you can then use as you wish or as you see fit. So this is something we know that is very new at the moment, the FEI Horse app, for you as officials, but also for the PRs and everyone that has to use it. We also know that there has been a little bit of negativity around it or backlash around it, because if they do not do what they need to do, they are sanctioned. This can range from warnings to fines to suspensions. So we know that there are perhaps PRs, athletes, grooms who have maybe expressed to you as officials at events that this is, not necessary, or takes up too much time, or is silly, or things like this. We know that that is ongoing, but we also know why we are doing this. This is to really ensure the high health status of our horses and to ensure healthy horses at biosecure FEI events. So the information is available to you as officials. And if we touch on the non-competing horses that was mentioned earlier, so any horse that has an FEI ID number, the information can be added for these horses. So the horse does not have to be entered at the event for information of this horse to be entered in the FEI horse app. So any horse that has an FEI ID number, it is possible to enter their daily temperatures, to fill in a self-certification form, to use the FEI horse app. And there are people who actually are using the FEI horse app on a daily basis to register their horse temperatures, regardless if they are competing at an FEI event or not. It's very much, it is there as a tool for people to log the temperature recordings of their horse. So for non-competing horses, there is not an issue to add the information in the FEI horse app. Thank you, Victoria.
As you imagined correctly, we have some questions.
I'm sure.
So one of them is actually about the multiple shows running on the same weekend.
Yes.
It so happens that sometimes the officials, either the riders or the vets, it can happen that the temperature check is entered into the wrong show. For example, to a 1-star instead of a 3-star running at the same weekend. So how does this is withdrawn? How is it recovered? Any possibility for technicalities?
Yes. So so it's per show. So they're not entered in the 1-star or the 3-star. The horses are examined in a show, so in a venue, so in Valence. So they're not split by event level. However, I think what the person is referring to, sometimes we have Valence is maybe not the best example, but we have a Valence jumping show and we have a Valence eventing show at the same weekend, for example. And in this case, the vet maybe examines the horse in the incorrect show. So what they can do, if they realize their mistake, they can just go and re-enter the examination on arrival in the correct show. That's absolutely fine. If they don't realize their mistake, then afterwards, we will be notified of the mistake and we can then transfer the examination on arrival from the Valence jumping show to the Valence eventing show, for example, or the other way around. So this is normally brought to our attention afterwards, because what will happen is our system will say, oh, this horse competed in the Valence jumping show, but was examined in the Valence eventing show. And so our system will inform us of this, and we can then merge it together. But if the vet realizes at that moment in time, they can go and re-examine the horse in the correct show. And if they wish, they can drop us a quick email or a quick message, and then we can sort it out. Otherwise, it will be sorted out post-event.
Okay, thank you. Another question actually referred by 2 separate members, one from Penny Dot and the another one from Teresa Miranda. A suggestion that it would be helpful if the person responsible name would be shown against the horse name. Is there any technical possibility for that? So
from a legal point of view, the person responsible is the athlete that rides the horse. So that is the person responsible for entering the information and who is held accountable or responsible at the end if the information is not entered. We know, though, however, that it is maybe the owner or the groom or the friend that actually enters the information. This information, we cannot display the contact information for these people, obviously from a security and personal information point of view. But I see what you're saying, that maybe the possibility to add just the name of this person who is entering the information. I think that is what is perhaps interesting. Do I understand correctly? The person that is maybe meant to be entering the information, that this name is available.
I believe so. So that together with this chance, I refer the question to Penny and Teresa. If this is exactly what they mean, please, can you text it on the Q&A? Thank you. And the next question is from Diana, Victoria. And she says she had asked this question previously as well. And she says when the horses are traveling for long periods before the event, they cannot record the temperature and they might get sanctions. Sometimes when it's because of the long periods of travel, the grooms may not enter due to the shape of the truck or the lorry, etc. How can they report the temperature that was not taken because of traveling? I think you did answer this partially already, saying that the day before they can still enter into the system, but if that's a 3-day period, would that ever be possible?
Yeah, so this is a very tricky one and overlaps with sort of from a veterinary point of view. The application from a technical point of view allows you to enter temperatures 3 days in the past. So for example, if the temperature is taken, but you have not entered it in the app, you can actually enter 3 days in the past. So today we are Tuesday, you can enter Monday, Sunday, and Saturday's temperature today. So we're very flexible in the possibility of entering the temperatures in the app so that no sanction is given. Of course, the pre-event temperatures have to be entered pre-event. So if they are arriving on a Thursday, the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday temperatures have to be entered in the app prior to Thursday, but they can all be entered on Wednesday evening. For example, if they've been noted down in a notebook or something like this, they can all be entered in the FEI Horse app on the Wednesday evening. So we're very flexible in terms of actually entering the information in the FEI Horse app. But I think what the question is referring to is if they cannot actually physically take the temperature of the horse. And we know that we are being confronted with this, especially for horses that are traveling for perhaps 24 hours, 36 hours.
Yes.
And this is a bigger query that has been raised with the veterinary department and the veterinary committee. And at the moment, the position of the veterinary department, the veterinary committee, is that to use potentially another form of measuring the temperature of a horse. For example, when they are traveling for such long periods of time, it would be unusual that the horse's temperature is not monitored. And there are these little sort of patches that are perhaps stuck to the back of the horse that monitor the temperature of the horse while it is in transit or it is in transport. We know that that's not necessarily ideal or possible for everybody, but it would be rare that a horse does travel for 40 hours where the temperature of the horse is not taken at some point in time. So that is at the moment the stance of the veterinary department and the veterinary committee. However, I do know that this is something that is in discussion, and especially for other disciplines where, for example, let's say endurance, where horses ride for sometimes 16, 17, 18 hours, that is not possible to take the temperature. So I know this is also in discussion. So I cannot give you a more precise answer on that matter at the moment. But to know that it is being looked at the moment by our veterinary committee to see what possibilities are available for these long transit and long travel horses.
Okay, thank you. Meanwhile, we did receive the answers about the person responsible. What our colleagues are trying to say is actually the athlete himself, because they say so that we can follow up with the athlete more easily.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So next to the name of the horse, display the name of the athlete that is riding that horse, so you can follow up with them. Yep, I take that feedback on board, and I will see that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. What else do we have? Yeah, so far that's it. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's great. Okay. So actually, in terms of most of the platforms we have available for officials, I have gone over most of them. Something that I did quickly touch on earlier was the how-to platform. The how-to platform is maybe something that is not talked about on a regular occasion, but it's an online platform with it's basically a tutorial, guidelines, video, Q&A platform where you can go in and you would say that you are an official, and there are guidelines appropriate to what you might need to perform as an official. And especially in relation to the FEI Horse app at the moment, there are a lot of videos and tutorials and guidelines available on this online platform. And of course, something that I mentioned right at the beginning of our presentation is that we are a service organization, and my department, we are very much a service and support department. So we are always available to answer any questions. And these can be big or small questions. It could be even, that you can't log in, you can't remember your FEI ID number, you can't remember where to go to entry.fei.org, you can't find the automatic email. We are very much here to help you as FEI officials, and we really would encourage you to contact us with any questions you may have or any assistance you might need. Going forwards, I already mentioned the online schedule for jumping that we are developing at the moment. And something else that we are also developing is a TAC app. So it's a mobile application where we will list all the different TAC and what is accepted or can be used under the different rules and regulations across the different disciplines. Of course, as officials, you are aware of the rules and what TAC can be used and not be used in certain events and competitions. It's obviously very much aimed for the athletes, the PRs, the grooms, etc. But it can be, of course, interesting for you as officials to have this TAC app available as well to use or to even show athletes and grooms on site sometimes when there are questions about what TAC can be used and what TAC can't be used. So that is actually something that's in development at the moment. So that's what I have. And then, of course, if there are any other questions, I'm very happy to take them.
Thank you, Victoria. I'm trying to check if we have any new ones. Yes, one from Penny Dodd. When arrival date for a show spans over 2 days, there is an option to arrive Thursday evening or Friday morning. Athletes arriving on Friday morning are receiving sanctions for not recording temperatures on Monday, when technically they do not need to start recording until Tuesday.
Yep, that's correct. So if they arrive on Friday morning, then they are examined on arrival on Friday morning. So then they only have to enter the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday temperatures. The only reason they would receive a sanction is if, for example, the vet actually examined them on arrival on Thursday evening by entering the ID number in the application, but without seeing the horse. So that would be quite peculiar. Whereabouts in the world are you based? Is it maybe perhaps Australia or the US? There is maybe a time zone issue that we
Australia.
are currently. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So there is currently a small time zone issue that we identified this week that we are working on. So if, for example, a horse is examined on arrival on a Friday morning, at the moment it's still thinking it's a Friday morning in Australia, but it's not a Friday morning here. So our system has not calculated the time zone correctly, but that is actually being corrected as we speak. So that should not happen anymore. And as I mentioned, the horse health requirements are compulsory as of the 1st of January 2022. However, the rest of the world, so non-mainland Europe, are in an educational phase for the sanctions, and the sanctions will apply as of the 1st of September 2022. So any sanctions that are being issued at the moment outside of mainland Europe are purely educational, and as of 1st of September, they will apply officially, and this time zone issue will have been addressed by then.
Okay, thank you. By the way, we have a question from our Facebook platform.
Okay.
And that's coming from Jan Steffens. What is the procedure for competitions that run over many sequential weeks and horses are not leaving?
Yes.
I believe he's asking this in the context of the horse app.
Yes, in context of the FEI horse app. So if a horse remains on site for multiple weeks or numerous consecutive weeks, we sometimes refer to this as a tour, but it could just be events that continue over multiple weeks. If the horse does not leave the FEI stables, the biosecure venue, it stays on site. It's examined on arrival, once on arrival. And then the PR athlete groom has to carry on entering the daily temperatures whilst the horse is stabled on site. This can be for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then the horse is checked out on the day that it leaves. So basically, what we see is that the horse has stayed at this show for 4 weeks, even if we know the show is actually 4 separate weeks in the FEI calendar. We consider it as one show in terms of the horse health requirements. They are examined on arrival on the first day they arrive, and they have to fill in one self-certification form. And then they stay on site in the biosecure stables. They're not checked out at the end of each week. They stay, they carry on entering their daily temperatures, and they are checked out on the day that they leave. Of course, if they leave in between, and this happens, for example, I know in the US and in certain other places, on a Sunday evening, perhaps everyone has to leave and all the boxes are disinfected on the Monday, and then all the horses come back again on the Tuesday. This would then be, the horses would be checked out on the Sunday evening, and then they would be examined again on arrival on the Tuesday morning. The minute the horses leave what we call the FEI stables or the FEI biosecure compound, then it's the end of a show, and then a new show would start when they come back again, and they are re-examined on arrival for the second week or the third week after that.
Okay, thank you. Meanwhile, another question from Anna-Karin Tilden, although not directly about jumping, but this time about eventing. She says, thanks, Victoria. Regarding the online schedule for eventing in the sport app, the schedule is not available to download anymore. Is there a reason for this?
Yes, thank you for pointing this out. Yes, so unfortunately at the moment, the online schedule, because it's an online schedule, the sport app displays the PDF version of the paper schedule, which we have now moved away from for eventing. So at the moment, the schedule is not available in the sport app. However, as we are working on the online schedule for jumping, and we know we need to be able to consult the schedule via the sport app and via the Sport Manager app, perhaps as mentioned earlier, it will be possible to view these schedules in due course via the mobile applications. So I take note of your feedback as well, and to let you know that it is in progress, especially linked with the development of the jumping online schedule.
Thank you, Victoria. I think we're slowly coming to the end. I see one last question maybe from Diana Faccini. She asks, what happens when there is no security in between the weeks? This is also another classic question. She also says that she had an answer from the veterinarian department before to check them out. Yeah.
So this, I think, is going off slightly IT applications, but I have actually been very much involved in everything to do with these horse health requirements and these regulations. So I know the answer to this. So if the stables do not remain what we would refer to as FEI stables or FEI biosecure stables, then yes, the horses should be checked out on the last day or the day that the security ends, and then they should be examined again on arrival when the vets come back or when the security starts again. The reason for this is because we cannot ensure that the stables stay secure, biosecure during this time when there is no FEI stable security, and therefore by checking them out, we're notifying that they leave even if they do not technically leave, but what is more important is that they are re-examined on arrival. The examination then on arrival, even if they are not re-arriving, they are actually on site already, but they are re-examined by the FEI veterinarian, and this is ensuring the health status of the horse and the temperature of the horse. So this is the procedure to do in these cases.
Yes. All right. I think that wraps up our nice conversation, Victoria. If there are no other questions, which I do not see, thank you very much. It has been very, very helpful.
You're more than welcome.
IT structure is something that sometimes we do complain, regardless of whether this is FEI or any other institution, as you know, but it is evident that we have to work with it and we need to live together with it because it's also helping us a lot at the same time. From this end, it was very helpful. Also, we heard some very exciting news about the foreign rider report being online, and also the tech app. I think this will be very helpful for us in future, especially from stewarding point of view, where our officials need to, contact the rider or the groom in the warm-up arena just to show easily what actually the right rule is or the diagram. So therefore, I think it will be very, very helpful too. Victoria, thank you so very much.
You're more than
It was a
welcome.
pleasure.
And as I mentioned, please don't hesitate to contact me. If that's my direct contact information, you can share that. That's not a problem. Or our user support at fei.org email address. I'm always happy to help. So please don't hesitate at any time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.